Hey family, welcome back to Hekima House Chats. I'm so glad you're here with me today. If you're listening to this while driving, cooking, folding laundry, or just sitting quietly somewhere trying to breathe, this episode is for you. Because right now, whew, um, the world is loud. Like, I do my best to not let a lot of the craziness affect me. However, everywhere we turn, there is something happening. And I am a big one who tries to stay away from a lot of politics and all this other stuff. But no matter what you do, politics, opinions, anger, fear, headlines, all of this stuff is designed to spike your nervous system. Before you even had your coffee, your brain is full of all these things, and then you're off to work. And if you're anything like me, someone who cares deeply and feels deeply, it can kind of feel impossible to not let a lot of this stuff kind of get under your skin. And for me, I have to do a lot of intentional work to make sure that it doesn't. So today, I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about not let everything affect us. So just kind of learning how to observe without absorbing, and just about protecting your peace without becoming disconnected or numb. For me, I just kind of retreated from everything, and then that kind of put me in a place of solitude. And I'm not saying that that was necessarily the healthiest thing for me. And so just there's a weight with constant input, and a lot of times we don't think about that. We were never meant to process this much information. We were never meant to know everybody's opinion about everything, every single tragedy that happens, every single debate, every argument, every single day. Social media is great in some ways, but it's horrible in others, because really in reality your nervous system doesn't know the difference between something happening on your phone and something happening in your living room. So I think the biggest thing is when you're constantly consuming stressful content, your entire body stays in a low grade state of fight or flight. That is never healthy. If your goal is to work toward wellness, you have to understand that. And when we wonder why we're constantly exhausted, or you're constantly irritable, and you feel heavy or tense, or even just overwhelmed for no clear reason at all, that's usually the case. That's when you almost have to kind of take yourself out of everything and just have a gentle pause, because this doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you just can't handle it and all of that. It means that you're human. Like I said before, it's not natural for us to be consuming all of this information constantly. So we really have to kind of teach ourselves to observe and don't absorb. One of the most powerful skills that we can develop right now is this. Basically saying to yourself, I can see what's happening without letting it live inside of me. And just telling ourselves that observation is awareness and absorption is attachment. And a lot of times we tend to attach to things that we read or scroll through, and we don't have no business doing that. You can acknowledge that something is happening and that things are happening throughout the world without carrying it in your body. I mean, we all can do that, and we really just have to make sure that we are learning to teach ourselves to stay informed without being inflamed. Like, for real, for real. You have to just kind of stick your head in the sand sometimes, because I'm a big person that says, don't watch the news. For what? You don't have to let every headline hijack your peace and make it feel like you need to turn on the TV or turn on your phone or look online. It's not always necessary. A lot of times we can absorb things without even realizing it until we feel it. And absorption can sound like doom scrolling. Ugh, I can't even talk. Doom scrolling. Even though your chest feels tight, sometimes we tend to replay arguments in our head that maybe we have either heard or been a part of or seen. It can be feeling responsible for fixing everything. If you're that friend, then you might feel like it's your job. Sometimes we can carry anger that doesn't even belong to us. I'm mad because she's mad, that kind of situation. We could tend to let outside chaos dictate our mood at home, and that's not awareness. That's just overload. And overload leads to burnout. And we don't need either one of those things in our lives, especially at a time like now. So then we move on to, what does observation look like? Observation is different. This is why we need to learn the distinction between the two. Observation basically says, I see this, I understand this, and I choose how much energy I give it. Observation always will allow space between what happens and how you respond. That space, that's where your power lives, basically. And the more you kind of pull everything and take everything in, you're just kind of giving your power away to other people. And sometimes you're giving that to people that you're angry with or not in a good space with anyway. And it hurts even worse when you're giving that power to someone that you're not going to keep talking to. But you got to remember, your energy is sacred and your peace is not a luxury. It's a resource and it belongs to you. Every time you allow something to fully consume you, you're spending energy. It's just like spending money. Sometimes you're spending it on things that you can't even control. I know I'm guilty of that. And I want to lovingly remind you that you're allowed to conserve yourself. You don't have to be a part of every single thing that is going on. It doesn't matter if people tell you that you should be outraged about something on social media. That's not always something that you should have to wear. You don't have to comment on everything, and you don't have to argue with everyone. You don't have to carry the emotional weight of the entire world. Because like I said, it's not even natural to know about what's going on all over the world all the time. You're allowed to put some things down. And no matter how many times or how often people try to guilt trip you into learning about the new thing that's happening across the world, you don't have to do that. You don't have to stay updated all the time. Boundaries with information. It's huge. Boundaries are not just about people. Sometimes it can be with information too. I know for me in 2020, I completely stopped watching the news because why? I don't need to see all of that all the time. And it's okay to limit your news intake and to take breaks from social media and even to mute certain conversations and just choose peace over proving a point that doesn't even make you, it doesn't further you at all. Stepping away from some of that stuff, it doesn't make you uninformed. It just makes you intentional about yourself and it makes you put yourself first. And so when it's time to kind of ground yourself back into your body, you know when it's time to do that, when the world feels chaotic. And a lot of times you need for the safest place to come back to be in your body. And that's controlling your breathing and feeling the grounding in your feet and listening to your heartbeat, because right now, right here, you're okay. And sometimes you just have to pause to tell yourself that. This is why movement and breath work and grounding practices and all these things are so powerful and so important, because we tend to forget about them. They're so simple, but they have such a huge impact on us and how we function throughout the day and our lives. They help us discharge what doesn't belong to us. Sometimes you need a nudge to tell you that's not yours. Go ahead and put it down. So I wanted to remind you today that those of you who care deeply without carrying everything deeply, that's a good thing. You can keep doing that. You can stay aware without staying activated, and you can observe without absorbing. And you can protect your peace, and that's not selfish. That's necessary. It's something that we all need to learn how to do a lot better so that we are not always in panic mode. So I want to thank you for sitting with me today. And if this episode spoke to you, take a deep breath with me right now. Slowly inhale and exhale gently through your mouth. And remember to choose what stays. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. And remember to keep choosing peace, because this is a time when we really need to do that. And once again, if you need a reminder or if you need help with finding tools and resources, just go ahead and DM me. Let me know how I can help you. Message me below. And we can work together to figure out ways that you can helpfully, peacefully come back to yourself. Till next time, thank you, everyone, and see you later.